All right, as a rule of thumb, for those cases where the null hypothesis is true, we do not want to incorrectly reject a null hypothesis more than 5% of the time. So this corresponds to what's called the significance level of 5%, 0.05. So we want the p-value to be smaller than that. So when the p-value is smaller than this significance level, we say the results are statistically significant. This means the data provides such strong evidence against the null hypothesis that we will reject it in favor of the alternative. So in this situation, random chance is not a likely explanation for the results from our sample. So you can think, when I talk about the significance level, you can think of it as a boundary between what's plausible and implausible. So when the p-value is larger than the significance level, that indicates the null hypothesis is plausible, and so we can't really reject it. We have to keep the null hypothesis, and we fail to reject it. When the p-value is smaller than the significance level, that indicates the null hypothesis is not plausible, so implausible, and it can be considered evidence to reject. Now, when hypotheses are tested, there are two possible decisions. Again, we can reject the null hypothesis when the evidence is sufficient to rule out random chance as a plausible explanation. We fail to reject the null hypothesis when there is not enough evidence to reject. The null hypothesis is not necessarily true, but we can't rule it out. A lot of times this could just be that our sample size was too small, or it could just be just the way it is, that maybe the null hypothesis is true. But one of the problems with hypothesis testing is that we can never actually prove the null hypothesis. All we can do is reject it or fail to reject it. We can never accept the null hypothesis because the null hypothesis cannot be proven with hypothesis tests. For instance, again, the sample size may just be too small to get any meaningful result. When we fail to reject the null hypothesis, the best we can say is the null value is plausible for the parameter, but it will never be the only plausible value.